alumni of Yeshivat Lev HaTorah. It's a difficult day. Look around the shul, you see people unshaven, you see people sitting on the floor, but only Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 days from now, we're going to be celebrating Shabbos Nachum, the Shabbos of comforting. And it's always bothered me. Here we are in the depths of mourning, feeling the loss of the Beis Hamikdash and so many other things, and somehow we're going to just flip the switch, and in a few days we're going to be in the middle of Shabbos Nachum. How does that happen? What changes from today, a day of mourning, and suddenly Nachum Ami, such a beautiful Shabbos? Who doesn't remember their Shabbos as a camp? Shabbos Nachum, it's such a beautiful Shabbos. But what's the nechama? What's the comfort? Why suddenly 4 days from now are we going to feel so much better? If the Beis Hamikdash is rebuilt, I understand, but if it's not, so how am I suddenly going to turn the switch on and feel better? Rav Eliyahu Schlesinger, who's the Rav of Gilo, which is a neighborhood in Yerushalayim, suggests a beautiful approach to understand what Shabbos Nachum is all about. He says that we know the Gemara tells us in Brachos that a person is not able to, I don't know if the word is move on, but a person is not able to continue with their life. A person doesn't accept the loss of a loved one for a year. But after a year has passed, the person is able to accept the loss, the person is able to move on. And he said, here we are, not a year after the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, not 10 years, not 100 years, but hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years later, still mourning the loss of the Beis Hamikdash. And more than that, the Beis Hamikdash, it wasn't a person, it wasn't a loved one, somebody that we knew. It's a building made of bricks, made of mortar. And here we are, not a year later, but 2,000 years later, sitting on the floor. We're not shaven, we haven't showered for the last week, we're not eating, we're sitting on the floor, we're not wearing shoes. You walk into a shul and you feel like it's a Beis Oven. You feel like the entire Jewish community is mourning. How could that be? Why haven't we moved on? Somebody would walk into a shul, they would say, get off the ground, put your shoes on, take a shave, take a shower, move on. It's been so long. Why haven't we moved on? So he says, because when the Gemara says that a person moves on after 12 months, that's when a person has died. Because at some point we accept, as painful as it is, that this is the way of the world, and there's nothing we can do to change that reality. But here it's different. Here, nobody's died, and there is something we can do to make a difference. The Beis Hamikdash lives inside of each and every one of us. And each and every one of us realizes that we have it within our capability to do those little things that are necessary to bring about the rebuilding of the third Beis Hamikdash. And that's why we haven't moved on. Because we haven't forgotten, we haven't accepted that this is the way things are. This is not reality. This is a temporary state, and we're ready to move on to the next stage. I think that therein lies a tremendous amount of nechama. That even as we sit today on the floor mourning, we get nechama, we get comfort from the fact that here we are 2,000 years later, still commemorating, still mourning, still davening, still waiting for the ultimate building of the third Beis Hamikdash. I wish that all of us should continue with that bitachon, and hopefully with the strength of that bitachon, that emunah, we will next year see the rebuilding of the Beis Hamikdash.